Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Miscellaneous Gab, and yes, we are here to discuss the White Lotus Season 3 finale, Amor Fati. Wow, what a finale. And it seems like yet again the internet is very divided and abuzz about how we all feel about this finale. The finale was equal parts tense, crazy, exhilarating, scary, and yes, a little bit confusing, but we'll get into that. If you're new around here, welcome. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and comment below with what you thought about the finale. I understand we're all gonna have some different opinions, and that's okay. It's the different opinions that make the world go round. As an episode of television, this finale kept me entertained the entire time. I was on the edge of my seat, extremely uncomfortable, wondering what was going to happen next. That being said, there are some parts of this finale that made me scratch my head or kept me left wondering. I know a lot of people talked about this season being slow as a bad thing. Now, I really don't mind a slow season of television. I think our expectations have really shifted for what we expect in an episode of television. If you actually go back and look at seasons 1 and 2, they're also slow. Sometimes I do think it is the presence of all this commentary, for which I am also guilty. TikTok, YouTube, everything that allows us to discuss it to such lengths that we end up inevitably being disappointed with the television. I've said this from the beginning when I started criticizing the Dune movies. It is so much easier to criticize a show than it is to make a show. I just have to open with the fact that creating 7, 8 different plot lines with overarching themes, motif, and symbolism, and entertaining you and surprising you, it's not easy. That being said, I will be giving everything my honest thought and reaction. Given that it is less than 24 hours since I watched the finale, I'm sure some of these thoughts and opinions are subject to change, evolve, etc. So I might do a full season 3 look back once I've had time to think a little bit more about everything. Now, rather than go by scene, because there was a lot of back and forth, I'm going to go ahead and tell you how everybody's story wrapped up. I'll finish this video by telling you my thoughts as well and my questions. Let's start with kind of the plot line where the least amount of things happened, and that was the culmination in the dynamic of the 3 girls. It seems like last episode there was so much tension, so much baggage, and all of the times they talked shit about each other was finally bubbling over for them to actually be honest with each other rather than reverting to gossip. I think Lori's little monologue at dinner was hilarious, and shout out to Carrie Coon for being an amazing actress. I've loved you since The Leftovers. She broke down into tears, and I thought she was gonna say, let me be honest and like serve everyone some truth, but it was actually very heartwarming, vulnerable, and sweet. The only note I really took during this dinner scene and the corresponding laughing on the couch drinking wine was, man, girls are weird. And I'm a girl. Try to avoid taking a trip with a group of 3. It seems like in their own weird way, they resolved things between them. It might not be clean, it might not be cookie cutter, it might not be what we were expecting, but to them, it feels good. And they're the characters here, so that's all that counts, right? I think the show was trying to show us a bigger resolution between the 3, but my biggest takeaway, which actually makes it all the more real, is that they're probably going to continue talking shit about each other, getting together every once in a while, and kind of judging each other for the deeper flaws, as Jacqueline said. At least it's not the superficial flaws. Now, if you've ever had a lifelong friend, I think you know that it's not always pretty, and sometimes it gets messy. As they showed their love for each other was genuine, they never actually solved any of their problems. Yet, given that this is the White Lotus, maybe that's the point. I guess it just showed us that they're friends through the bullshit, nothing is perfect, nobody is perfect, but they go way back and they still love each other. Now, one thing that really bothered me is the fact that no one seemed to discuss how Jacqueline cheated on her husband that she said was like perfect and they were obsessed with each other. I do not like the whole what happens in Thailand stays in Thailand trope or theme, and I would have thought at least Miss Christian Conservative over there would have kind of brought that up as sort of a moral concern. If not, I mean, you could have still done the exact same plot line where she took Valentin away from Lori, but doesn't have this husband that she cheated on and is now lying to. I don't know. What do you guys think the point of that was? Now let's talk about Belinda. I was really hoping this season would end with some justice for Gary, but by the end of this, he's almost more sympathetic than some of the other characters. Zion is very ferocious at playing the bad cop, the businessman, the negotiator, and the whole scene of them talking to Greg in his own house was so cringe to me. I'm not very well versed in negotiating millions of dollars worth of blackmail, but I thought I would have a little bit better handle on things than Zion and Belinda. But it worked. Belinda gets all the money and still decides to hang out for a bit longer than she should. We have an interesting juxtaposition here. At the beginning of the season, Tim recalled that $10 million wasn't really that much money and wasn't worth the whole embezzling, money laundering thing that he got himself caught up in. On the other hand, Miss Belinda receives $5 million, and this is no doubt a life-changing amount of money for her. I still don't understand why her immediate move wasn't to book the first class ticket out of there. She hangs around a bit to have some breakfast, book a treatment for Zion, and say her goodbyes. I thought her goodbye with Pornchai was really sad. I know sometimes you meet someone on vacation and you really like them and there's not always a happy ending. It's kind of like lust at first sight, but it really seems like she's turning her back on a genuine and authentic connection in favor of whatever money is going to bring her. Now, I agree. Maybe she just wants to enjoy being rich for a few minutes. She really waffled with Pornchai in a way that Tanya did with her. I believe this could even be the beginning of Belinda's villain arc. She, like Gaitok, compromised her morals to get ahead in life, and if White Lotus tells us anything, it's that the people with bad morals usually somehow end up on top still. I just love how they were able to go from 100 grand to 5 milli. I guess I do have to give Zion some credit for that, and it was very interesting to see Belinda, who is so integral to White Lotus, go from staff to kind of this hybrid role, staff, honorary guest, to now big ballin' Belinda over here. Buckle in because we have a lot to say about the Ratliff family. Let's go. Piper, no. Okay, first things first, little Miss Piper. We learned that she's not actually cut out for Buddhism and the sleepover at the monastery, even though that was a pretty luxe sleepover as far as a monastery is concerned. This shows us that she's just as shallow and materialistic as the rest of her family. Her spirituality, her journey was mostly performative as an act of rebellion against her family, or just kind of her way of figuring herself out. I thought her sobbing at the breakfast table while Victoria is absolutely gleeful was hilariously done. Then she seems to go full on rich person, shopping for bags, talking about what she's going to do to her hair, etc. This is like someone who's been a vegetarian for a while ends up going full balls to the walls, overcompensating for the meat that they didn't eat. I was a vegetarian for 6 years. Before I was a vegetarian, I didn't even like red meat. And then with all those years of not eating meat, I suddenly, like, all I wanted to do was eat steak. Tim gives her a weird look because evidently he was planning on only offing the shallow members of his family as some sort of mercy kill and sparing the ones who could potentially live without money. Cool, awesome. Okay, so you're going to end the lives of half your family and leave the remainder to not only live with nothing, but deal with the trauma of watching their other family members perish right before their eyes. Awesome. Cool. Don't do drugs, kids. This is what it does to your brain. Tim's next bright idea is to use the seeds of the pong pong tree to poison his family's pina coladas. So you're telling me you're going to let the 4 of them get unalived in probably a very painful, scary way and have Lochlan watch, and that's somehow sparing him? Now, I did like the pina colada scene because I had no idea where it was going to go, which I loved. I loved when I can just go back and forth. They're going to do it, they're not going to do it. The closer and closer they got to drinking the cocktails, even taking that first sip, the more dread filled me. I sat there thinking he's really going to do it. But Jim Jonesing his entire family seems a little macabre even for White Lotus. He can't go through with it, so he decides to wash the other cocktails down the drain and leave the remnants, probably the most concentrated part of the cocktail, in the blender. Got it. And these people went to Duke. Also, Lochlan, my guy, why in God's green earth are you not taking the 5 seconds it takes to wash out the blender? That is so disgusting. It would have been more understandable if you had just wanted to sneak a taste of the pina colada, then put your vanilla protein powder in there. That is so disgusting. The taste alone, why didn't that make you wash it out? The seeds taste horrible. I know what had to happen here. How they got there was a little head scratchy. Despite everything, Lochlan's death was really heartbreaking to me, only he didn't die. His family, so self-absorbed in their own thing, literally leaves him behind to die. Now, I thought this was very interesting. Piper and Saxon have both kind of used him as a prop throughout the season to further their own agenda, if you will. They forget him as soon as they start to change or go further inward. Tim finds him and is also just kind of sits there rather than going to get help for his son. You're strong, man. Scoop that kid the fuck up, go run to the hospital. As soon as I had got done processing that Lochlan was dead, he woke back up. Overall, I think this close call was what Tim needed to snap out of it. I gotta admit, a parent cradling a child, begging them to come back will always be a tough watch for me, no matter what happens. Speaking of Lochlan, we also got some answers, or did we, on the jerk session on the boat. Jerk chicken, that is, YouTube. Don't take this video down. Lochlan did it because he's a people pleaser. I'm a people pleaser. You don't see me getting anywhere close to doing something like that. Weren't we led to believe that once he recalled what happened that he was equal parts disturbed as Saxon? Or did he remember the whole time? I'm sorry, but this went nowhere. It went nowhere, and I really just felt like this was for shock value more than anything. Lochlan seems to be right where he started, the quiet, thoughtful kid in a, quote, family full of narcissists, as he said. If that's truly where he ended up, where he started, everyone kind of forgot about him. They're so self-absorbed. Why have him, like, jerk off his brother? In other shows, I'm not advocating for this kind of storyline, say Game of Thrones, it's way more consequential, it's interesting, there's this idea of the twins, whatever. It's not my favorite kind of content, let me just say that. I thought we were actually getting somewhere with Lochlan's character, where he was actually this darkness. What happened to him saying he wanted to take down his brother one day? And then we just get to the fact that he's kind of this chill, quiet one, the only one who seems to be able to potentially live without money, the one who is kind of collateral damage in all of this, and then just goes away. Either way, they all head out on the boat. Lochlan is glad to be alive. Piper has turned her back on Buddhism, and Saxon leaves with a bit more spirituality and anchoring, and maybe a bit less on the fuckboy. Victoria seems to be the most changed to me. Now, hear me out. She has proved that she can live without the things that she thinks she needs, i.e. lorazepam. I don't know many people who could just go cold turkey off the benzos and still be that chipper and good. Maybe that's a hint that she will be okay after all. Even, yes, if it means no air conditioning. I do wish we would have been able to see their reactions come full circle. How does Victoria react? How does everybody react? I think that would have been a good moment for their character. I love Lucius Malfoy as Tim, but I do feel like he basically did the same things for 5 episodes, almost like we wasted a really good character. I thought Saxon and Chelsea would also have something going on a bit more. I think an important moment for his character was saying no to Chloe to be used as kind of like a sex toy. Her saying that they just find someone else shows him that the sexual relations he seeks is empty and actually is genuinely causing him to want something more, some better connection. Here are the questions I have with the Ratliff family. Did Lochlan ever go to the hospital? Did the rest of the family realize he died for a few minutes? Did he choose Duke or Chapel Hill? That's kind of like Chekhov's University, you know? Will Victoria be able to live with their newfound poverty? Does Saxon know about what happened to Chelsea? If so, I think he'd be a little bit more disturbed. And where, Tim, where are your offshore bank accounts? This isn't your first rodeo. Where's the Swiss bank account, Canary Islands? It's time to call your guy. Now let's talk about Gaitok. Gaitok is between a rock and a hard place. Does he rat out the Russians and get the girl? Does he listen to Valentin and save their lives, even though they pistol whipped him? Does he quit his job because either way he will be causing harm and living against the Buddha's teaching? Or does he shoot an unarmed man in the back? If you answered D, you are correct. Mook's back and forth really pissed me off because it was just not believable at all. I actually think she's one of the more wasted characters in this season. So much potential. Now, I know everyone wanted to see that she was somehow in on it. I get it. The writers had other ideas, but just the will she, won't she, the hot and cold, it just was not believable. It seemed like the only thing that will make her like this guy is if he stirs shit up. The only thing. Gaitok ends up betraying his morals and kind of wins. New job, new shades, gets the beautiful girl. Like I said, this really parallels Belinda's arc, and I'm not mad about it necessarily. I need some more time to marinate on like the overall arcs and symbolism. Finally, let's finish off with Rick and Chelsea. RIP. Unfortunately, I've been saying for weeks that Chelsea would be collateral damage in Rick's revenge plot. Rick got his closure. He got the monkey off his back. We heard that line twice, but it wasn't good enough, I guess. He tries to do the right thing by taking a beat to go hang out with the meditation lady, but the way Jim insults his mother like that and makes Rick feel powerless once more, he decides he needs to act. It's almost like he can't control it. Why in the actual F would you go back to that guy's hotel? Why? Just have Chelsea meet you at the airport. Samoy Airport is like 15 minutes away from that hotel. Real easy to call a taxi. It's even easier for her to go fly to Bangkok. It's a 1-hour flight. They have flights leaving every hour from Samoy. Chelsea tells Rick that he needs to focus on the love he has rather than the love he lost, which is sweet and true, and unfortunately he doesn't realize this until it's too late. I was actually hoping Chelsea would eventually tell him to fuck off. I know she loves the guy, but how much rejection and condescending tone can a girl take? I certainly could not do that. We realize all the gun sounds was a chaotic shootout between Rick and the bodyguards. Now I've seen that the pattern didn't match, so I'm gonna go back and compare between the first scene and the actual shootout. So Rick is a sharpshooter now? I mean, how was he able to take out both bodyguards from that distance with a gun he's maybe never used? I was kind of disappointed that we didn't get more about Rick's past. Like, was he an international hitman, conman? Why isn't he allowed back in Australia? Is it because he went and murked someone else that he thought was his father? He finally learns that Jim is his father, and this was this was an afterthought. I mean, it was there to raise the intensity. We don't know why he didn't tell him. We don't know what the circumstances are. It was kind of that extra stab in the gut, so I felt it, but I was like, ooh, I wish we had a little bit more. Chelsea's death was very heartbreaking, one of the more true, good, pure characters. All she wanted to do was love the guy and read her books and just be a good person, so it's always the good ones that have to go. Rick realizes what he had after it's too late. She said they'd be together forever, and thanks to our boy Gaitok over there, they got their wish. I don't have much more to say about this other than it was sad. I think it would have been probably even more heart-wrenching if Rick survived, with the knowledge that in one fell swoop he got his girlfriend killed and killed his father. But again, how was he ever supposed to know that? Jim Hollinger could have told him like the first time or even the second time they met. Now I'll share a few thoughts. I thought the finale was good in the sense that it kept me entertained and on the edge of my seat the whole time. I do think there was some good overarching symbolism in this season, just like with any season of White Lotus, but sometimes it felt just a little too on the nose, like the tsunamis. I loved the parallel between the hedonism and Buddhism and kind of that darkness that we all have within us. And it's not about necessarily even money that makes you do these things. We saw it kind of on all rungs of the ladder, the service workers, the Russians, everyone. I'll probably need some more time to dissect the themes further and really sum up my thoughts on these themes, maybe how they differ from other seasons of White Lotus. Saxon's arc surprisingly turned out to be one of my favorites, and I absolutely love Patrick Schwarzenegger in this. Truly, like, hats off to him. I know everyone's calling him a Nepo baby, but who freaking isn't at this point? Just let the guy enjoy his first big acting role. Also, fellow Trojan, so fight on, Patrick. We were at school around the same time.
I went to Duke.
We still don't get as much on Gary Gregg as a person and as a villain. I thought we'd get more as to what happened between him and Tanya, but all we get is that he wants to cuck his girlfriend. Okay, I don't know. I thought for sure he'd meet his end in some way. Belinda is now kind of mixed up in the darkness of this all. I think it might even affect her more than it affected him. This season was slow. Now, I said I don't mind it, but I feel like we were rushed to finish out all the plot lines in the finale. Lochlan's self-admission being like, I'm a people pleaser in a family full of narcissists, like that almost felt too telling, not showing. I think that some of this would have been better wrapped up if some of these plot lines came to conclusion in a previous episode. There wasn't much going on last episode, so maybe the Lochlan and Saxon conversation could have occurred. Belinda could have got her money, something like that. I'll leave it it there for now. I probably have more to say, but I want to hear from you. What did you think of the season finale of White Lotus? Go ahead and drop your comments below. Now, I'll be reviewing more Severance content soon, as well as Are We All Buckled In for Black Mirror that's coming next. Big shout out to my Waffle Party VIP members on Patreon. I could not do this without you all. Thank you so much, as well as my other paid members. Come over to Patreon. It's a party over there. We're starting a Discord. We're going to have lots of fun. Comment below with what you'd like to see me review next. Stay safe out there. Watch out for monkeys. Also, what was the point of the monkeys? Bye, guys. Thank you so much for watching and supporting me. Talk to you soon. Bye.